Today we are making soap, specifically goat milk soap. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Yannick. I started Just One More Story Farm with my family, and we raise Nigerian dwarf goats and Buff Orpington chickens. Our goat, Miss Fancy Nancy, gives us so much milk, more milk than our family can keep up with drinking. So I took the extra milk and started making goat milk soap. And it turns out I love making soap. I also like using the soap and sharing it with friends and family. And she just keeps providing us with more and more milk. And I have a lot of frozen milk at this point. And I have been enjoying creating all different soap scents in different shapes and sizes, and I really enjoy it. And now we have our second goat, Miss Amelia Bedelia, who just had kids, and her udder is huge. She is producing so much milk, and so we are going to be getting an abundance of milk from Amelia Bedelia as well, which means more goat milk soap. And since I really like making goat milk soap and we have an abundance of goat milk, I am going to be selling my goat milk soap creations. And I would love to take you along on this journey of making goat milk soap and starting a goat milk soap business as a branch of our farm business that we already have going. And I'd love to take you along on this journey, document it all. And so this is the start of Soaping Sundays. So we do Friday farm vlogs every Friday where we take you on the farm tour and let you know what's been going on all week. And if you've been enjoying that, maybe you'd like to join us for Soaping Sundays. So on Sunday we will show you what is going on as far as whether we're making a soap that week, or if I am working on a part of the soaping business, or updates as far as what's going on in the development phase of the branding and packaging and farmers markets, all the fun that comes along with starting a business and the whole soaping world. I am learning it all as we go, and I have been really immersing myself in it, and I'm just so excited to get to share that journey with you. Just in case you decide you want to get your farm on and you end up with some goats and then you start milking goats and then you want to make soap, it's all going to be here. And if you do find yourself going down that route, you can feel free to watch Friday Farm Vlog. I've got the whole series from the beginning right on through. Currently there are 56 episodes of Friday Farm Vlog, so that's 56 weeks of farm updates, and that's taking you along from when our goats were younger to us breeding Fancy Nancy and then learning how to milk her. It's all documented. And what a fun farming adventure it has been, and I am so looking forward to expanding the adventure into the world of selling goat milk soap and creating and designing, and I've got all these ideas for what I want to do, and I just cannot wait to actually see that turn into an actual goat milk soap design, packaging. Oh, I'm just excited. So we have a lot of work to do to get this business off the ground. So I have an idea in my head of what I want the soap to look like, the embeds that I want, colors, packaging. I've got all these ideas, but I do need to come up with scents. So what the soap is gonna smell like. I have been playing around with different scents and making different bars. And if you've been watching along, you've seen that I've made different soap recipes where I was trying to find that perfect recipe that is a really enjoyable soap with a good lather, nice bubbles, and made your skin feel really moisturized. And I found that soap recipe. So I did a video where I did the test of 6 different soap recipes, and I did it blindfolded, and I did not smell the soap, so I didn't know which ones I was trying, and I picked the one that felt the best and bubbled the best, and that is the recipe that I'm going to be using moving forward for my soap. So I have the base recipe. Now it's a matter of coming up with the scents. And not only the scents, but how much of that scent to put into the soap recipes to make it smell really good, but not be too overwhelming, but not be too subtle. I want to be somewhere in the middle there. Now, my absolute favorite scent so far of all the scents that I've tried in soap is lavender. So today I'm going to try a recipe with lavender essential oil and cedarwood essential oil. I'm hoping that that scent is going to be one of the many scents that I offer in the future as a soap in my product line. And so of course, to do all this, you need all kinds of supplies for soap making and essential oil. So of course I have been ordering. So let me show you some of the stuff that I got. I keep everything I need for soap on top of the fridge above the cabinetries because I don't want the kids getting into it, because lye is caustic and I don't want the kids getting into essential oils. They are natural, but in high quantities. It's not something you want to mess around with. Okay, so I keep track of all my recipes in my binder, and I print off the recipes in soapcalc.com so that I can make sure I've got the correct lye ratios. So I have been stocking up on the ingredients that I use for the recipe that I decided is my base recipe. So that is organic coconut oil, organic extra virgin olive oil, organic castor oil, organic shea butter, lye, which is what I use to create the chemical reaction of saponification in order to turn these ingredients into soap. And then I add in my essential oils for the scent. So I ordered some essential oils from New Directions Aromatics, and they sent me this big box with essential oils all wrapped up. Here's one that we're going to be using today. This is Cedarwood Atlas. It is an organic essential oil. So we're going to be trying that today. It smells really good. It has like a woodsy scent to it. And then I'm going to mix that with lavender essential oil. This is a 4042 variety. It smells so good. And then for other recipes that we'll be doing, I got orange 5-fold. So this is going to be for a citrus scent. I also got lemongrass for another citrus scent. And then I got two scents that I haven't worked with before. The patchouli dark essential oil. It also has like a woodsy scent for a base note, which I like. And then I also got bergamot essential oil. Which the bergamot has notes of citrus. I can certainly smell some citrus scents to it. It's got a nice smell, so I'm excited to try some different scents together and make some scent blends. Now for actually getting to soaping, things that I use, I've got a digital scale because everything with soap is it's essentially chemistry. You're doing a chemical reaction. You need to measure out your ingredients to be sure that they are the correct amount. And so I really like this kitchen scale to be able to measure all my ingredients out. I use a whole assortment of different measuring cups and different bowls. So in here is where I keep a lot of the different things that I use for soap making. And so I have different molds. Hand mixers and spatulas. Checking temperature is very important with soap. Make sure that your ingredients are not overheating, especially where the milk is involved. So we got lots and lots of stuff to use. But safety is really important because lye is caustic and it will burn your skin. I've experienced it once. I don't want to experience it again, so I wear these gloves. And I also have a full face shield that I wear to protect my face. And long sleeves are important. And I do put down placemats that I got from the dollar store just to help protect the surfaces that I'm working on, and it makes it easy for cleanup. Okay, so I have all the ingredients that I need to make my lavender and cedarwood essential oil goat milk soap. So we're gonna get started. You guys can watch as I make that and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, the first step is safety first. So you do want to protect your eyes from any lye getting in there because that can cause blindness. So you can choose to wear goggles or a full shield mask or a combination. It's also important to wear gloves to protect your hands. I start making my soap by measuring out the lye granules. It's very important to get the measurement correct. I do my measurements in grams, and I keep my recipe book standing up so that I can read the correct amount of weight for each ingredient that I'm putting in. Next, I weigh out my frozen goat milk. The reason I'm using a frozen goat milk is because the lye mixed with the goat milk causes a chemical reaction that heats up pretty high and pretty quickly. And that can scorch your milk, which can make it turn brown. It doesn't smell great. So if you can keep that at a lower temperature, it's better for the milk. I only add a little bit of lye at a time, and I mix that with the milk. It does melt the milk cubes, and I keep mixing that. I do that over a course of about 15 minutes until the lye is completely dissolved and the milk is melted. And then I let that sit in a safe place away from kids and pets so that nobody can accidentally bump the lye. I do have a cover for that mug with a vented cover just to keep everybody safe while still allowing it to vent. I do have windows open and a ventilation fan running because of the fumes that come off of the chemical reaction. It's really important to ventilate the area. While the lye is coming down in temperature, I measure out my coconut oil. I also measure that in grams. I place it in the microwave for 30-second increments until it is melted. When making soap, it's advisable not to have children involved. However, I do have my kids wear gloves and a shield, and they're only allowed to help out with the measuring of the oils. The lye is safely put away out of reach, and so I am teaching them the measuring process. The shea butter is added to the melted coconut oil, and we mix that to melt the shea butter into the coconut oil. While that is melting down, we then measure out our olive oil and castor oil. We mix those oils together so that they're well blended. Once well blended, we then slowly add the lye goat milk solution. I do add that over my hand mixer to try to avoid bubbles from getting into the soap. This particular recipe took about 20 minutes of blending. I did have both the oils and the lye in the 80-degree Fahrenheit temperature range, so it is a lower temperature range. It did take a little bit longer to get the lye and the oils to mix together and form a trace, which is where it thickens up to where you can actually see drag from your blender on the top of your soap mixture. When I pour it into my mold, I do pour it on top of my spatula. Again, this is to avoid bubbles. The lye that is in this mixture right now is caustic, so you just have to be really careful when you're pouring it. Try to keep everything contained. You want to scrape off and get every last bit of it out of there, because all of that will turn into soap and you don't want to waste it. I did save a little bit extra to pour into the butterfly mold. So I'm just pouring it into the butterfly mold and scraping any excess into the log mold. And then I smooth the top down to try to make a nice smooth top on it. I used my spatula to scrape off any extras off the top of the butterfly mold and cleaned it up with a paper towel. The molds are then covered with saran wrap, and that is to help keep soda ash off of the top of it, which can make your soap look ashy on top. I like my soap to be uniform all on each side, so I cover it up. I then place both molds in the fridge. It'll stay in the fridge for 24 hours, and then I'll remove it from the fridge and place it at room temperature in the mold. Okay, it has been 2 days since I made the lavender and cedarwood Atlas essential oil blend of goat milk soap. So we are going to unmold it today and see if it's ready to be cut, and we'll go from there. If it's ready to be cut, we'll get to cutting. I'm gonna be cutting different sizes because I do want to try out different sizes to see what's most comfortable as far as a comfortable bar of soap to hold in your hand. And I'm also going to be weighing the soap because I want to see the start weight, and I'm going to keep track of the weight as it cures. Normally it's recommended to wait 4 to 6 weeks to allow the water in a soap to fully evaporate before you use it. Not that it's not safe to use, you certainly can use it sooner, but the bar of soap won't last as long when it has a higher water content in it. It'll just be used up faster. So I want to keep track of the weight of it to see when it stops losing water weight, so then I know that the water has been fully cured out of it. And that will give me a better idea as to when it is fully cured for when it is best to actually start using the soap. So let's get it unmolded and cut, hopefully. It smells really good. So you want to make sure it's ready to unmold, and so when you press on it, you shouldn't be getting any dents. It should hold its shape when you are pulling the mold away from it. So far so good. The nice thing with these silicone molds is that it just easily peels away. The bottom and the sides look beautiful. The top, there were some air bubbles where the saran wrap trapped some air bubbles. So for the next batch, I'm gonna try using the actual wood top that came with this mold and see if that does a better job of not trapping the air bubbles. So I did a 1-inch bar versus a 1.5 inch bar, and like what a difference. Like 1.5 inches for me is way too big of a bar. I do like the 1 inch, and then the 1 inch compared to the 3/4 inch. This is easier for me to hold, but I do like the idea of having more because this will get down to this size soon enough. So I think 1 inch is the size that I would go with. And then a 1/4 inch. Also nice for like a hand soap size, but it's not gonna last as long when it's thinner. I am noticing some drag with this, so in the future, I'm gonna let the bar sit in the mold for more than 2 days and see if 3 days or 4 days is better at reducing drag. Now these bars is just for personal use and for friends and family, since I am still experimenting with these different things. I also added some soap to this butterfly mold, and I wasn't sure how well this was gonna work and if they would even be able to pop out of the mold. So it did pop out as a very small butterfly that has small details on it. It's very cute. However, the antennas were too thin, too small to actually pop out together. And the rest of them are cracking in half. They're just, I think it's just too thin of a mold for soap. I'm gonna look for a thicker mold to use. As pretty as the design is, it's just not thick enough for this particular soap recipe. But that's the fun of experimenting. You never know what's gonna fail or what's gonna work out, and you take what you learn and you build on that. And that's the plan. Let's get some measurements. All right, so I'm just gonna write it all down in my notebook, the soap weights on day 2. And I'm gonna compare it by the 3/4 inch size to the 1 inch size to the 1.5 inch size. And I'm gonna keep track of that over the next 4 to 6 weeks and see what we've got. All right, the 3/4 inch is 90 grams. The 1 inch is 138 grams. And this one is actually measuring at 1¼ inch. So the 1¼ inch is at 171 grams. So those 3 I'm gonna keep track of over the next 4 to 6 weeks, and we'll see if they all complete their water evaporation on the same day, or if it's going to be different depending on the size. And that way, whatever size I end up picking for the ones to sell as a standard size, I will know the cure time for it. So thanks for joining me on this Soaping Sunday adventure. On my Friday farm vlogs and my educational farm videos, I do encourage you to get your farm on. But on Soaping Sunday, if you haven't started making soap yet, what are you waiting for? Get your soap on.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you want a farm? A wicked awesome farm? Watch this channel to learn what to do. We love to farm and we'll show you. Yeah, welcome to our show. Whoa. Just one